It all started on a humid Saturday morning, when the sun decided to show off its brightest glare right over the cracked asphalt of our apartment complex. The place was crowded as usual, cars packed tight like sardines. Neighbors pretending not to see each other as they fought silently for those few blessed parking spaces close to the entrance. I had just returned from a grueling night shift. Eyes burning, caffeine worn off. And the last thing I wanted was another long walk from the far side of the lot. I spotted it, my usual parking space. The one I'd used every day for the past 2 years. A tiny rectangle of shaded relief beneath the only surviving oak tree in the complex. But someone had beaten me to it. There it was, a shiny beige SUV, still humming. Parked diagonally across 2 spaces like it was the star of a car commercial. I pulled up behind it, blinking through exhaustion and disbelief. Then, like a movie villain making her grand entrance, Karen stepped out. You could spot her a mile away, oversized sunglasses, yoga pants that hadn't seen yoga in months, and an energy drink in one hand. She caught my expression, gave me a small wave, and chirped, "Relax, it's just a spot." Just a spot. I rolled down my window. Yeah. Cool, I said, smiling way too sweetly for how I felt inside. So give me your driveway. She froze, mouth slightly open. The kind of stunned silence that could only be achieved when someone realizes their script didn't account for sarcasm. I let the words hang in the air for a moment before slowly pulling into the empty space across from hers. The one directly under a giant bird's nest. That was supposed to be the end of it. Just another petty parking squabble, another day in suburban purgatory. But Karen wasn't the type to let things go. I didn't know it then, but she was already plotting her comeback. By that evening, a note appeared on my windshield. You don't own the parking lot. Be kind or management will hear about this. The paper was scented with something floral, passive aggression, disguised as perfume. I crumpled it, laughed, and thought that would be the last of it. But Karen wasn't done. Not by a long shot. The war for the parking spot had just begun. The next morning, I came out to find something new, bright orange cones blocking my usual spot. A handwritten sign taped to one of them read, "Reserved, apartment 3B. Karen's apartment." I stood there, coffee in hand, letting the absurdity soak in. She had actually claimed a public parking space with dollar store cones and tape. I laughed out loud, startling the neighbor's cat who'd been watching the drama unfold from a windowsill. I could have gone to management right then, but that wasn't my style. I wanted her to dig her own hole. So I parked somewhere else and waited. Sure enough, by noon, people were already complaining. Someone moved one of her cones, and she came running out like a traffic cop, waving her arms and yelling about community respect. By the afternoon, 3 more notes appeared around the lot, all written in the same aggressive cursive. The whispers began spreading fast. Karen's cone zone had officially made her the villain of the complex. That night, I decided to respond. I printed a single sign and stuck it on my windshield, "Relax, it's just a cone." The next day, the cones were gone, but not the feud. Karen started subtle, tiny scratches on my bumper. A suspicious smear of something sticky on my handle. I kept quiet, documenting everything, waiting. Then came the night she called the towing company, claiming my car was abandoned. They showed up at 2 a.m. The driver checked the plates, looked around, shrugged, and left. The next morning, I confronted her. "Hey, did you call to have my car towed?" Her smile was all teeth. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Oh, okay," I said. "Because if I find out you did, maybe I'll start calling about all those decorative cones blocking public property." Her face twitched, but she didn't respond. She just turned and walked off, muttering under her breath. It was no longer about the spot. It was about pride. The line had been drawn, and neither of us planned to back down. By the end of the week, the entire building was watching. It was like a neighborhood soap opera. Parking wars. Suburb edition. Every move either of us made got whispered about in the mailroom. Then I got my chance. Karen decided to host a community brunch, parking her SUV right up on the curb, blocking the mailboxes. When someone complained, she said, "It's temporary." That word again, temporary, like her sense of entitlement had an expiration date that never arrived. I smiled. Opportunity had just parked itself in front of me. That night, I printed a huge banner and stuck it across my balcony. It read, "Karen said it's just a spot." Cool, she gave me her driveway. I also printed flyers, fake but convincing, advertising. Free community car washes in Karen's driveway, sponsored by 3B. By morning, 2 teenagers were out front with buckets, soap, and big grins. Karen came outside in her robe, eyes wide, shrieking, "What are you doing?" "Relax," one of them said, barely holding in laughter, "it's just a spot." Half the complex was laughing by noon. The manager got involved, trying to calm everyone down. But even he smirked when he read my banner. Karen threatened to call the police. They came, listened to both sides, and told her, "Ma'am, this is a civil issue. Maybe just share the parking space." Humiliation hit her harder than any prank I could have planned. For a few days, peace returned. The cones disappeared, and she parked like a normal person. But I knew Karen too well by then. She wasn't done losing yet, she was planning her final move. It came 2 weeks later. I walked outside one morning and froze, my car was gone. Panic hit hard. I called the tow company first, then the police. Both said the same thing, no record of a tow. Then I noticed something. On the ground where my car used to be was a single note. Laminated, taped to the pavement. "Relax, it's just a car. Karen." I was furious, shaking, pacing. But I didn't storm her door. I waited, just like before. Later that evening, I spotted her SUV returning. I followed quietly, watching her pull into her driveway, smug as ever. And that's when the plan clicked into place. The next day, I made some calls. My cousin worked for the towing company Karen had tried to use before. I explained everything, sent the photos, the notes, even the fake tow call report. He checked the logs, sure enough. Someone had filed a false claim using my plate number. The company traced the call. It came from Karen's phone. Within a day, she was facing charges for filing a false report. Her SUV got impounded for evidence. When she came outside, screaming, I stood there with my coffee and said the line one last time. "Relax, Karen. It's just a driveway." She glared, speechless, as the tow truck hauled her precious SUV away. After that, peace returned to the parking lot. The oak tree still gave me shade every morning. And sometimes, when I parked there, I'd catch myself smiling at the empty space across from me. The one that used to hold Karen's car. Because in the end, it was never just a spot. It was a lesson, one she learned the hard way.